Helps if you don't have the mute button pushed, Rob Dog.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the... Where are we? Where the fuck are we?
We're the Corona cream spot.
That's it. I'm your co-host, Delicious Nicolicious.
Hey, everybody. I am Rob Dog. What's going on? How's everybody doing? Hopefully nobody's sick.
Yeah. Well, I've got sunglasses on because my future's so bright. I wish you guys could see me right now. I've got some shades on. I asked Rob, I said, is it okay if I wear these sunglasses, or does that make things a little too uncomfortable for you? He said, I don't fucking care what you do.
Right. Fucking coming in here looking like Johnny Cage off Mortal Kombat. It's all right.
Welcome back, guys. We're really happy to have you. We had a lot of people reach out this week that said, I had you guys are helping me get through a hard time. You guys have been there for me. You know what? When I was a kid, I thought that I would never get my license. I got there. I got my license.
Yeah.
Once I got my license, I said, I'm never going to graduate high school. I made it through. I graduated high school.
Yeah.
Once I graduated, I said, I'm never going to meet a woman to marry me. I met a woman to marry me. I said, I'm never going to have kids. The point of what I'm saying is, guys, we may think that we're not going to be able to get through what we're getting through right now, but I have full confidence that all of us together we can get through this. Even if you're having a hard time, even if you're having a rough time, and fucking shit sucks right now. And I'll be the first one to say, this coronavirus stuff, I'm fucking over it, dude. Give it to me, even if... Excuse me. Let me keep getting it. Let me...
Just over and over again.
Make me the one that can tell the world.
You want to be the martyr?
The
Corona martyr?
I don't think I want to die.
Okay.
I just want to, keep it on me. Keep that motherfucking thing on me.
Yeah.
I'll just have it, and I'll keep it. And I'll just keep it on me.
Okay.
And I'll have it all the time.
Like a colostomy bag.
Like a shit bag, exactly.
Yeah.
What's that on your hip, sir? Well, that's my shit bag.
My Corona bag.
I'll keep it on me. I'll stay sick.
Oh my God, I wish I could clear my fucking throat.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, there you go.
I think you got it that time.
Yep.
Rob and I were talking before you guys buzzed in here with us. There's a video on the internets. It's an old man in a nursing facility. He's obviously lost his marbles.
Yeah, it'll melt your heart.
But he's telling the nursing assistant that he wants his dick sucked.
Hey, we've all been there.
A fucking time or two, let me tell you. And it's just this old man telling the nurse that he wants his dick sucked.
Just wholesome content.
And I wanted to share this with you guys. Some of you might not have. You may have heard this. You may not. But yeah.
Do what?
Suck my dick.
I can't.
Watch your mouth.
Do that. I can change you.
No, you ain't gonna change me. I like
You don't want to be changed?
No, but I want my dick to be sucked.
You want to take your medicine?
Huh?
Your medicine?
Medicine? No. You don't want to suck my dick.
I have to change you.
You don't want to suck my dick. Get out of here.
Damn.
You don't want to suck.
Well, my dick sucked.
I can't do that.
Why?
You know that's inappropriate?
Yeah.
So what are you saying?
I just wondered if you wanted to do it.
Well, I don't want to do that to you. I want to help you. That's what I'm here for.
No, that would be a help. Suck my dick.
No.
Yeah, it would be.
That's nasty.
No, it's not nasty. You know better than that.
That's my favorite part.
He smiled.
You know better than that.
Don't you?
Don't you? Dirty old man.
Well, that's a old man in a nursing home trying to get his dick sucked. Hopefully that's...
Comes full circle.
You got to shoot your shot. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Player's going to play.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
He's sitting there in pajama pants trying to get his dick sucked.
That's why they give you that little button in the front.
I always thought that was a pee flap.
That's a dick-sucking flap.
Well, not to be the one to burst your bubble, but my dick-sucking flap always smells like stale urine, if maybe I'm using that wrong. How about we say thank you to our Patreon subscribers?
Yeah, let's do that.
Leslie Porter. Leslie, thank you for becoming a patron subscriber.
Yeah, and then also a thank you to Connor Robidoux.
That's what I do to my wiener when I'm alone. I robidoux it.
Robidoux.
You want a little robidoux.
I think that's fucking close enough.
I think you got it.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
And Cole, the Coltrane Iton. Thank you for being here with us, Cole.
Thank you, Cole. And last but not least, we got Charlie Collins. Thank you very much.
He's the guy from the black and white movies with the hat, with the mustache.
Yeah, the little Hitler mustache.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlie, for coming back from the dead to listen to this audio adventure that we call the Brohio Podcast. If you would like to get ad-free content, or if you would like to have your name shouted out, you just join the $1 tier. We get about 3 cents of that, but hey, it gets you all of the cool stuff. Go to patreon.com/Brohio Podcast.
Do it.
Yeah.
You know you want to. Your mom said it's okay, so.
And I was going to read this article. In Iran, there's a prophet. Oh, let me see here. An Iranian man calling himself an Islamic prophetic medicine healer has prescribed drinking camel urine to prevent and cure COVID-19.
Oh, okay.
In a video now widely shared on social media, Mahdi Sabali.
I think you just summoned a genie.
I did. Who is also the chairman of Prophetic Medicine Society, treats himself to camel urine and says it must be taken fresh and warm.
Oh, God, that sounds horrible.
You gonna drink that straight from the camel dick. There's been a strong reaction by many Iranians on social media ridiculing Sabili and having called such advice dangerous for people. So you've heard it here first, folks. If you've got the COVID, we've got a prophetic healer that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, just find you a camel.
And you just suck the pee right out of it.
Get the drinking. Dude, I bet those things can piss so much.
I bet it tastes like Gatorade. I would drink it.
Hey.
Dude, I've seen camels pee before. They can't pee a lot.
I bet it fucking looks like a garden hose, like just sprays.
Yeah, it looks like he's drinking apple juice.
Look like a camel.
Camel's got an afro. He's just fucking chilling.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
I don't even know
Even that camel looks Iranian. Look at it.
Yeah, he's got really hairy legs. His thighs really, really black. I don't even know what's going on here. So, I have a different approach this week. I found a murder, and I'm reading through this murder, and I said, what the fuck is this all about?
Okay.
And I deliberately kept the research from Rob. And
I
deliberately didn't tell him anything about this case.
No.
All he knows right now is the gay's name is, he's not gay. His name is Greg Fleniken. And he's dead.
Okay.
And we're going to go through this case, and I want you guys to try and play along with us.
And I have part of the notes, so I have some of the notes, but not all. All the good stuff is redacted. So we'll see how this goes.
I didn't do a very good job.
It's okay.
I tried to.
We never do.
I'm just going to ask you when we're going through it, like, hey, what do you think? What do you think about this right here? What do you think happens next? And I just want to show you.
This is full of curveballs, I'm assuming.
How crazy. It's wild. It's out there. This is going to be one of those murder cases that we cover that 60 years from now, we look back and say, that one sucked just as bad as the rest of the episodes.
I can't wait for that point.
That was a real fat steamer right there. Can't wait till we have grandkids and they're like, Grandpa, did you ever go to Iraq? And you're like, I was busy making podcasts.
We were talking about wieners and farts.
I was a podcaster. You know, I made a lot of jokes about fucking your great-great-grandpa.
Oh, shit.
I called my dad this week. He's been having some high blood pressure, so I've been having to get after him.
Yeah.
And he answered. He's like, hello? I said, hey, Dad. And he said, hold on a second. And he put the phone down. He's like, oh, give me the number 3. And then the intercom's like, you want that original or extra crispy? Yeah, he picked the phone back up. He said, I'll call you back. He called me back and said, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Watch your blood pressure.
My blood pressure's dropping. I got to bring it back up.
And then he gave a typical, this is why I am the way I am. He gave a typical dad answer. He said, I just got chicken tenders.
Okay.
I just got the chicken tenders. So, I'm thinking of him. Hopefully he'll get it together. If he's like me, he's not going to get it together. And it's just going to continue to spiral out of control.
Hey, what can you do?
Oh, so we've covered some really weird shit. Stuff to really keep you guessing here on this show. This one, there's no. It's just so. You're not going to have any fucking clue what's going on. Most of the time, I have no idea. That's pretty much how I live my life. No idea what's going on. And like I said, I deliberately wanted to keep the details away from you this week, so you can go along on this ride here.
Sounds fun.
This case is about Greg Fleniken. He was a landman. You know what a landman is, Rob?
I do not.
It's pretty much the face of an oil company. He's a salesman. He interacts and negotiates directly with landowners to acquire oil and gas drilling leases on behalf of oil and gas companies.
Sounds like money.
Making it, spending it, picking it up, putting it down. But that's the oil. This was probably a well-paying job.
Mm-hmm, I would assume.
Back then.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, there's nothing. The oil and gas were the shit.
Yeah, right.
I saw a news article. There was like 20 tankers off the coast of California. These tankers are full of oil. They're just sitting there on the ocean, just bobbing in the ocean, waiting. There's such an oil glut, they wouldn't let the ships come to the coast to drop off the oil because they don't need any oil. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, they're just bobbing out there in the ocean. There's no idea what's going to happen next. So I know we have a lot of listeners here that work in the oil and gas industry. I hope it does what it's supposed to do, but I'm really enjoying paying $1
right,
a gallon.
$1 a gallon
right now.
Yeah.
I wish you nothing but the best.
Yeah.
Maybe you should look into a career as a podcaster. Or, yeah, I don't know. I have no advice.
Go work for Tesla.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Is it that easy?
These I keep buying these Funko Pops, so maybe you can.
Hell yeah.
Work that into. I have no idea. We just got to get past this. The 50 feet. He was from Wisconsin originally, but he was accustomed to traveling. He was virtually living out of hotels. And I, for one, it's been said many times in the show, I'm a well-traveled gentleman. I've done a lot of jobs in my life.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of things I'm not proud of. We were painting our bedroom this week. And she said, "Why are there so many boogers on the wall?"
Oh my God.
And they weren't even around the bed. They were like next to the TV and above it.
You flicking them?
I don't think so. I might be, dude. I don't know. And I tried to tell her. I said, "I got no fucking idea what you're talking about. Those are your fucking boogers." Look, and then I try and talk like, there's mascara on that booger. That's not mine. Try and sell her own boogers. There's nothing that grosses me out more than going to a urinal in a men's bathroom. There's a bunch of boogers above it.
Oh my God, a booger farm. Oh God.
I'll let that one go. A booger farm.
Ugh.
Yeah. I'm a bit of a booger farmer myself, Rob Dog.
Yeah.
I get some big old Rice Krispies in the morning. You hear me in the shower. It sounds like I'm on a... Is that... I think that's every man, though. That's a really good place to unleash just a nose goblin.
It really is, especially in the morning.
Big old Rice Krispies. Yeah. Usually I've got some boogers that are so big I got to hit them with a plunger like a turd. Chop it down.
Just shoot a big old slug out of your nose.
People are okay with us talking about farts and shits, but boogers are not okay. I promise there's people out there that have already turned us off.
Yeah, boogers and snot are like real bad.
Where was I? Scraping boogers off. Okay,
yeah,
I'm well traveled. My last job, I worked in the underground exploration industry. Let's call it that. And it required me to be on the road about 90% of the time. I traveled, and it was fucking miserable to work all day and then go home to an empty hotel. It's lonely. It's sad, and I know we have a lot of people that travel that listen to us, but for me, it just felt like half your heart was always missing. Sitting in a hotel room, and it creates a lot of temptation, which I'm very proud of the fact that I never acted on any of these temptations. But whether it be drugs, alcohol, sex driven, there's a lot of different things that can call out to you when you're alone in a hotel room at 9-10 o'clock at night, And I remember one night we had a lot of suspect employees that worked with us. Well, good dudes, but IQs of a potato.
Yeah,
that's about what we get here. And this guy went to TJ Maxx or something to get work jeans. And while he was there, he found a hot dog toaster. It's pretty much like a toaster for bread, but it has little cylinder slots where you slide a hot dog in there, and then you open your hot dog buns, and it would toast the hot dogs at the same time it would toast the hot dog. And he was really fucking excited about this. Super homophobic. Really, because I made a lot of gay jokes, and he was really scared of homosexuality. And
like they're fucking wizards or something.
Exactly. And he wouldn't quit talking about this hot dog toaster when we were sitting by the pool drinking beer.
Okay.
This is 8, 9 o'clock at night, and we're just drinking some beer. And he wouldn't quit talking about this goddamn hot dog toaster. And so then me and my other friend, with Charlie, you know Charlie.
Yeah.
We made a Craigslist ad, and it said, "I just got a new hot," and this was back when they had casual encounters and all that stuff. We made an ad that said, "I just got a new hot dog toaster. I'm looking for a hot man to come to my room and toast a hot dog and shove it up my ass." And then we put his phone number on there. And it was mostly me and not Charlie so much. And within about, 4 to 5 minutes, you want to talk about, there was incoming dick pics on his via text message. This guy was so scared for his life that he took his battery out of his phone and put his phone on the ground and started fucking stomping on it.
No way.
He was from like one of those counties in Kentucky that they don't even have fucking water. Where Jerry and Tracy live at, he was from there. They no water, they sleep on bales of hay and shit. Shit like that.
Yeah.
And he took his battery out and he stomped on his phone. It was a flip phone.
Okay, yeah. So,
but
it was just a burner.
Yeah. And I thought about that afterwards. I said, within minutes of me posting this on Craigslist, there were men willing to come to my hotel room and shove toasted hot dogs up my ass. Not necessarily my ass, but his ass.
Yeah.
So that night I made my own ad. I didn't want a hot dog. I wanted a real. No, I didn't. No one came to my room that night.
Oh, man.
It was just weird, scary shit can happen on the road.
Yeah.
I don't like traveling. Let's just put that out there. Every Monday morning, Greg would drive into Houston, Texas for work, making the 2-hour trek from Lafayette, Louisiana.
Okay.
I think that's where he was from. And Greg and his brother Michael started their own oil leasing business in the oil-rich area of Houston. So
hell yeah.
He worked on... Greg would work on oil rigs when he was younger, but he eventually graduated to this, where he would just go to property owners and say, "You have oil on your property. Let's make a deal to where we can drill, and here's what we want to pay you rent, or we want to lease your property."
Yeah.
And that was what he did. But Greg would spend his entire week in a hotel called the Elegante in Houston, Texas, which is completely, it's fucking miserable. It's no way to live. And he was used to this, and this is how he spent most of his life, because like I said, he was working on he would work on these offshore oil rigs. Tough motherfuckers right there, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
A lot tougher than me.
Hell yeah.
I'd take a shit that tears me to pieces, and I'll cry.
Joe Dirt couldn't handle it. He got his ass beat.
You know that apple core? I'm done with that fart. Yeah, but Greg was a married man. He married his wife, Susie, at a very young age. But things didn't quite work out that well, and they would eventually separate and go their own way. Flash forward to the middle of their lives around 1995, and Greg gets a phone call from Susie out of the blue. All he says to her is, "I've been waiting for your call." And just like that, they were remarried again.
Oh, that's cute.
That's very cute. And he was a very handsome man, very nice-looking, middle-aged gentleman whenever all this stuff happened. So a handsome, middle-aged man living on the road. Let's talk about his promiscuities or his lack thereof, because there's a lot of shit for someone it's automatically in my mind, when I meet someone that says, "I'm a traveling salesman," I'm like, okay, you suck dick and you get fucked in the and you do whatever tickles your pickle.
You fuck.
And it doesn't matter if it's dog, cat, human, man,
drink camel piss, it doesn't matter.
wildebeest.
Yeah.
Shoot it all.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to take into consideration when we're talking about old Greg here, because he was living on the road for pretty much his entire life. So there's got to be a lot of dirty stuff going on behind the scenes there. Or maybe there was a lack thereof. The hotel he stayed at was called the MCM Elegante. It's not like this was an overnight thing. He was there 5 days a week. He was a very familiar face around the hotel. Everyone in the building pretty much knew who Greg was.
Okay.
The strange thing about Greg, or I guess the honorable thing about Greg, he didn't really participate in any of the extracurriculars like you'd think for a man like him living on the road. He stuck to himself. People at the hotel said he would come in from work and he would stay in his room. There was no coming, no going. He was the only one that went in, and he was the only one that came out. He was never spotted at the hotel bar. He never caused a ruckus in his room. And on top of that, he was loved everywhere he went. People at his office and former coworkers spoke very highly of him, and they really enjoyed his friendship. So this guy does this traveling road gig. There's no mistresses. There's no drugs. There's no alcohol. He was a very clean and tidy man that kept to a normal routine. He would come in from a day of work and lay out a hand towel on the bed.
Okay. I like where this is going.
You think this is about to get really weird, but it's not.
Oh, that's sad.
He would place his cigarettes, lighter, ashtray, BlackBerry on the towel, and he would sit and watch TV. And he was a chain smoker, and he had a very bad smoker's cough to go along with it. Greg had a very strong liking of candy bars.
Hey.
And by candy bars, I mean, what's the one he was eating? He was eating red and blue crunch bars.
Oh, okay, Nestle Crunch.
I don't like those.
They're okay.
They're no, not enough nuts in there for you, Rob.
It's like a D tier.
Yeah, it is very much D tier.
Yeah.
He would lay the candy bar on the white rag with the cigarettes, breaking off little pieces at a time of the candy bars, and he would watch TV shows and movies. And that's what he would do, is he would sit there in his bed, and he would just break off tiny pieces of candy bars and watch TV.
Okay. Hey.
I'm painting a really vivid picture right here.
Yeah, that's a good life.
He did nothing to make you think that something bad would happen to him. He just was really a wholesome, good guy. He was a bit of a chain smoker. But in order to be that calm and chilled and just hang out and eat candy bars, you gotta be a chain smoker to get to deal with everyone's fucking boogers and shit and stuff. Some people will lay in their beds and shoot boogers across the fucking bedroom with their spouse laying there. No respect at all. It's happened in this house, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it, Rob.
Okay.
You hear that?
I do. There it is. The Monday bath time.
Why does this happen to me?
Every week.
She does nice things. She brings us seafood. She made us succotash and scallops tonight.
Yeah, delicious.
And she starts a fucking shower right above us. What a sweetheart. I will say that. The dinner was fantastic. Oh, man. On the night of September 15th, 2010, it was much of the same as any other night. He sat in his room watching Iron Man 2, slowly munching on a crunch bar. Let's pause for just a second while she does this.
Sure.
Okay, I think the bath water's done.
Oh.
I don't think the mic's picked that one up.
Creaky chair.
That wasn't a tomato splatter like the last one. So let's talk about the hierarchy of candy bars right
Sure.
now. I know you said the crunch bar was D-list.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate.
Top of my list for candy bars, probably Payday's.
Okay.
My all-time favorite.
I respect that.
Payday candy bar.
That's an A tier.
Right there with it. Like a Snickers bar is always good, but I got cavities right now, and I've never had cavities ever, and they fucking hurt.
They kill.
That chocolate, dude.
Yeah.
It hurts really bad. What's your hierarchy of candy bars?
It's really difficult. I enjoy Paydays a lot. So I do have that in common with you, as well as Snickers. I like Kit Kat bars a lot too.
Yeah, it was good. Easy to pass on, but they're really good. When you'll walk past a Kit Kat,
yeah.
But then when you actually have a Kit Kat, you're like, man, that's really fucking good.
It really is, yeah. Yeah, I think Snickers is probably top.
Those Take Fives are pretty good.
They
too.
are.
They got a lot of stuff in there. Anything with pretzels involved, I'm all for pretzels.
Or what are those things called? Carmelos.
good.
Is that what they're called?
My mom makes these chocolate cookies with Rolos inside of them, like the chocolate caramels.
Yeah, I haven't had Rolos in forever.
A good woman right there. That's a real good woman. You can add us on Twitter at Brahio Podcast or add us on Facebook, whatever you would like. Tell us your favorite candy bar so we can compile for science.
Hell yeah.
That night, Greg, September 15th, 2010, he returned an email to his wife on the night the night in question. She was trying to file for a tax extension, and it was in September, so they were already fucked up at that point. And he told her, he said, "You're doing a good job, babe." He emailed her back and said, "You're doing a good job." Just like any husband that doesn't fucking care about
audit me, I don't give a fuck.
How's this look? You're doing a good job, babe. Also, at some point this evening, maintenance records show, this is where it starts to get a little, maintenance records show he was making popcorn and tripped a breaker that knocked out power to his neighbor's hotel,
oh man,
his hotel, and the hotel room below him. He called the front desk and
must have had one of those hot dog toasters.
He was actually making popcorn. How do you blow a fucking breaker?
I don't know, man.
He used the microwave. If you put a fork in the microwave, that shit'll fuck it up.
Yeah, well,
it's a hot bomb right there, buddy. That he called the front desk and he advised them of his mistake. He finished his evening by finishing his candy bar and watching the end of Iron Man 2.
Okay.
I'm so far behind on Marvel movies. I don't know what happens in Iron Man 2 or what that one was even about. At some point in the evening, something mysterious happened to Greg.
Okay.
Something traumatic and violent. Towards the end of the movie, something caused him to stand up, stumble in pain to his door, and drop face down onto his floor where he was probably already dead before his face hit the floor.
Damn.
So at this point, we don't know what happened to him. He was sitting there eating a candy bar. He stood up and he walked to the door because he was in pain, and he fell face down and he was already dead before he hit the floor. Okay. There was no one in the room with him, so we can get that out of the question. And one thing that it's interesting to note, he was just like me. He liked to take the air conditioner and crank that motherfucker all the way down.
Oh, hell yeah.
The hotel room. Make it bone-chattering cold.
Yep, that's what I do.
You wake up and you got to use an ice pick to get your dick sack off your leg.
Yep.
And that was kind of his thing. Every morning he would call and chat with his wife first thing in the morning. But that next morning was different. After several attempts of calling him, she eventually reached out to his office, and they could not get a hold of him either. This was very much out of character for Greg, and it was very much cause for alarm because he was always one of those guys at fucking work when he was supposed to be there and never anywhere else. Like I said, really wholesome guy. Sorry my wife barged in here and shut us down for a second. But like I said, he's a super wholesome guy. And there was no cause. It would cause a lot of red flags for him to not be at work, like I said. His office decided they were going to send 2 employees to the hotel to attempt to make contact with him.
Okay.
He obviously didn't answer the knocks on the door because he was already face down dead by his door. They got the assistance of the hotel manager. After opening the door, they found Greg face down, doubled over with a burned out cigarette clutched between his 2 fingers on his left hand. The room was rather stuffy and hot, which is weird because he liked to keep the air conditioning cranked all the way down. But when they went in, the room was rather stuffy and hot, and it didn't make sense because
he didn't do that.
He was very, very strange at this point. His skin had turned a grayish blue at this point as he laid there dead.
Okay.
Police and ambulance were hailed immediately, and one of the first things they noticed was a wet spot on the crotch of his dark-colored pajamas.
Oh, man.
Have you ever made love in the backseat of a car? I'm stroking. Well, let's talk about this for a second. It's not too crazy for a deceased person to shit or piss themselves after they pass away. I'm not a scientist, but I do believe that's something that happens to you whenever you die and you kind of lay there. Like all the shit comes out.
Yeah.
All your goo.
All your goo.
Whenever I started working at the police department, we had to go pick up a dead body once. Well, it was a dead body call. And it was in an apartment, and the guy's name was Hurl Hibbard.
Hurl? Okay.
Hurl Hibbard. And
Sounds like a cartoon character.
there was an older detective I worked with, and he said, I want you to experience your first dead body. And I was only like 18 when I first started working there. So I was like, oh, fuck.
Explains so much.
Okay. This guy, when he fucking died, was 400 pounds, okay?
Nice. Okay.
He fell getting into the bathtub and slipped and fucking knocked himself out and killed himself. He died. But he still had the hot water running, and he had been there for about 4 days.
Oh, no.
You know what hot water does. It creates steam.
Ugh.
The steam goes up. He had started just butthole naked. Tiny, real little, smallest dick I've ever seen in person. Felt really bad about that. But the way that it was an apartment complex, so you didn't really run out of hot water. But the water was still running when we got there. And the steam was going up the walls, and it was to the point that it started to carry his juices and him up the wall. So there's like green and black funk.
It was climbing up the drywall.
It was climbing up the walls.
Like a fucking grapevine.
And then the detective's like, all right, let's get out of here. You saw it. Let's get the fuck out of here. So we go out front. We're standing there. I'm trying to, that's one smell you will never, ever forget is a fucking dead body that's been around.
Oh, man.
God bless America.
Ugh.
So we're waiting for the coroner to get there, right? And the coroner pulls up, and this guy, I swear to God, he was the size of a yard gnome. He was tiny. And he gets out of the van, and he's just standing there, like, putting his stuff on. And I'm waiting for Debo to get out, just like, where's the weight mover? Where's your Punisher at? Where's your... Nobody else got out of the van.
Yeah, fucking Gimli from Lord of the Rings coming out.
I'm thinking to myself, that little guy is not going to be able to wrangle that big fucker up there.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about ways thought about shit in my pants so I could just leave.
Right.
Because I knew inevitably that we were going to have to help get this dude down from this apartment. It was like the second or third floor. I can't remember. Second or third. So then the little transport dude from the coroner's office said, could one of you fine gentlemen please help me with the cadaver? Or whatever you call it. And I was like, oh, no way.
Sorry, dude.
And the detective I was with, he's like, you know what to do, buddy. Put them booties on. Let's get up there. You put the little booties on your feet.
Mm-hmm.
So we go up there. We did the little dude did a really good job getting him in a body bag. But then we picked him up. We all had to pick him up. Mm-hmm. And I got his feet in. Dude, this guy's fucking ball sack was the size of a 25-pound turkey on Thanksgiving.
You said he was laying in water, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure he was like waterlogged.
Your testicles can expand so much. It made his dick look like a tic-tac. Like his dick wasn't there. All he could see was the folded over, like foreskin, like folded over. There was no dick. It was just it was terrifying. But this ball sack dude had achieved maximum capacity for sure. The entire time he's trying to wrangle him into this bag, I'm thinking that ball sack's gonna pop. And you think about,
imagine that cum shot.
And I don't know what comes out of a ball sack. Is it like the little spring snakes that come out of a can? That little trick, like doing, doing. Rabbits? What comes out of a ball sack when it explodes?
Man, I don't know.
I know it would come out of mine. Fucking gravy or barbecue sauce or something.
Marinara.
Flavor Town.
Hell yeah.
We got him in the body bag, and then we start going down the steps with him. And you know when you're carrying a big piece of furniture and you're like rocking back and forth, hitting the walls and stuff? That's what we were doing with Hurl. He was a big fucker. God rest his soul. But then we started hitting, and I started hearing like a weird sound, and I finally realized I could hear him swishing back and forth inside the bag, like French onion soup, just like you were carrying a bucket of water, and I could hear old fat ass Hurl Hibbard sloshing back and forth.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Hurl Hibbard. He's dead a long time ago. So
all he wanted to do was wash his ass.
He was just trying to take a fucking bath.
Yeah.
But I think he probably did shit or piss himself, hurl. So it's not, what I'm saying is it's not crazy to come in and find a deceased person's been there laying there overnight, probably around 12 hours, a little bit of pee-pee on his crotch. Shortly thereafter, Detective Scott Apple arrived at the scene to investigate the circumstances around his death. He was like a fucking RoboCop. He was an assault team member on the department SWAT team. He was married to a wife, which means she probably had a curly flat top and her snatch smelled really bad. And he met her on the job as well. He's like, I'm a cop, you're a cop, let's just fuck each other. And that's the thing about law enforcement in general. They all fuck each other.
Yeah,
and they are unfaithful to their spouses.
It's very true.
And they get divorces. Eventually they find...
It's amongst one of the highest careers that... divorce rates and cheating.
And some people are the exception to the rule, so don't get me wrong.
Yeah, not all of them.
That's just like firefighters. It's just like firefighters. They all fuck each other too.
Okay.
Everyone that... every firefighter I've known has gone through a divorce because of someone they were having sex with at the fire department. You're supposed to use your hose to put out house fires, not for those nasty tricks inside the firehouse. Me, I'm the guy downstairs letting the Dalmatian lick peanut butter off my balls because that's just who I am.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'd try it.
No shame on it.
I've heard Dalmatians are not very good dogs. They're really mean.
I heard they're mean, yeah.
I don't want one.
No, I've never wanted one.
I do not want a dog that bites me.
It's a complete opposite thing you'd want in a dog.
Do not want that dog. So super cop, Scott Apple, married a flat top homosexual. He turned her straight. They went out on a date, and she said, I don't know why I'm here. I'm not into men. And he said, well, how would you like to try sitting on this pistol? And then they fell in love. I've interviewed Scott, but I didn't record it. So that's how it went down. The strange thing here, there really wasn't much to investigate. You have a guy in his mid-50s, a chain smoker. He didn't exercise. He ate whatever he wanted, and he was dead in a locked hotel room. There was no open window. The window was locked. There's not much to investigate. There's no signs of a struggle. There was no signs of a break-in. His wallet was still in his jeans that had $1,000 and 100 bills untouched.
Damn.
So it wasn't a robbery. While interviewing the neighbors, no one reported hearing anything, and Detective Apple told them all that it was more than likely a death because of natural causes. Detective Apple looked for pills, drugs. There was none located. He talked to Greg's wife. She said he refused medical visits and didn't really know if he had heart problems or if that could have possibly even been the issue.
Okay.
So at this point, as an investigator or a detective, you're very much playing to the fact that this is probably a heart attack or a stroke, some type of cardiac arrest. He's passed away from natural causes, some type of catastrophic heart event. In your opinion, what do you think has killed this man at this point? And I will tell you that there was and I will give you this hint. Mm-hmm. There was no one in the room. This was a murder.
Man, I don't know.
This is fucking wild. This is sketchy, isn't it?
Someone poisoned his Crunch Bar.
Well, you might be in the right direction, or you could be completely fucking wrong.
Who knows?
Which is actually more closer to the truth. Completely wrong.
Okay.
Oh, did you feel good? You're like, oh my God, first try, give me my badge, Detective Doofy. No, it was presumed that these life habits finally got the best of him. His wife had come to terms with the death, in fact, and it was what it was, that he probably had a heart attack. And in most of it, I had a very close person to me pass away recently that I asked their family, I said, did they do an autopsy? Like, no, he was overweight and he had high blood pressure. They just heart attack. They didn't even do an autopsy. It was presumed, like I said, these life habits, the smoking, eating whatever, no exercise, had caught up to him. Mid-50s, it's working on the road, and it's a rough life. The detective and the crime scene investigator took pictures of the room, which is routine for any death. His body was sent to Jefferson Medical Examiner, and that was that. That was the end of the investigation for the most part. That was as far as the police thought that would go. The coroner, Dr. Tommy Brown, was very precise with his methods of performing an autopsy. He was very much a veteran of the cutting open body industry.
Mm-hmm.
He'd been around, been doing it for a long time. He did not cut corners, but he could thoroughly examine a body and perform a full autopsy in 45 minutes.
Nice.
Which is his claim to fame.
Okay.
Chop, motherfucking chop right there.
I'm sure I couldn't do it that fast, so hey.
Jesus, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I can't even get my dick from flaccid to off in 45 minutes by myself. When I have my wife in the room, I can usually keep it under 30 seconds.
Yeah.
When she's like, hey, are you done? I'm like, I'm hurried. I'm so sad for you right now.
You don't even have to finish that sentence.
You made it go off, by the way. You're wearing nothing on your lips. So coming in for this autopsy, this seemed like the most routine of routine autopsies. Something Dr. Tommy Brown could shoot through in a jiff. Maybe even break his personal record of 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Fucking wham, bam, flip him open, shut him up. It's good to go. After checking the outside of Greg's body, there was nothing out of the ordinary, which you're not really going to see something out of the ordinary if it's a heart attack or stroke or something like that. Just the abrasion on his face from where he fell and he hit the carpet. But you will recall that there was a wet spot on the crotch of his pajamas.
Okay.
There was, when the examiner got to his scrotum, which is the fleshy ball sac between your legs, it's what holds your testicles.
Mm-hmm.
When he got to the testicle sac, there was a small half-inch laceration.
Okay. Okay.
The area around his dick sac was swollen. Like around his balls was very swollen.
Mm-hmm.
It was discolored, and there was a small amount of edema fluid, which is excess fluid. When I got to this part of the notes and the research, I said, okay, what happened was this guy had a fucking slut come into his room and stomp his nuts and his balls off, and it killed him somehow. Because that is a thing. I'll pause this and I'll try and find a video. There's people out there that like women to put on high heels,
and stomp on their balls,
and just stomp the shit out of their dicks and balls, kick him in the dick, kick him in the balls, and maybe this guy, even though no one had seen anyone coming or going, maybe he snuck somebody into the window. They rammed his cock off, stomped on it with stilettos, and then they made a run for it. And there was a video I saw many years ago. I'm going to try and find it and play the audio for you guys right now. So hold on one second, please. All right, Rob, my first Google search, I was able to locate this video. It's a man. There is a woman in a black latex suit that's repeatedly kicking him in the nuts.
Okay.
And he's... It won't pause. Okay.
Okay.
Oh my god, I gotta turn this down a little bit. That's probably my wife telling me to quiet the fuck down. Okay.
Oh. Dude, she is going hard too.
That smacking noise is Uma Thurman. It looks like Uma Thurman.
And Kill Bill.
You hear someone going, ah!
Ow.
It looks like a 44-year-old version of Rob. Wearing a choker. Getting kicked between the nuts.
Dick's too hairy to be me. Dude. Oh. She's Anderson Silva kicking him right in the dick. It's not even it's like bottom shin.
Oh, look at it. It's raising him up off the ground.
The toe of her. She's kneeing it.
Yeah. But we had to take that out or we'll get taken off iTunes.
Yes, it will.
So that just goes to show you that there are kinky people out there that like to be kicked in the nuts repeatedly.
I don't like it.
And that is from the website, efukt,
Oh yeah, yeah.
F-U-K-T, and you look kick in the balls of my heart, I think it's what it's called, if you want to look that up for yourself for your own personal research. Upon further inspection of the dick sack, he discovered that there was bruising that went from his scrotum to his groin all the way up into his hip.
Okay.
When he opened Greg's body to check his internal organs, he found a lot of blood and extensive internal damage. Partially digested food had been ripped from his intestines. He had small lacerations on his stomach and liver. He had 2 broken ribs. He had a hole in the right atrium of his heart.
Holy hell.
And this is not common shit. This is traumatic fucking car crash trauma that he had inside of his body. The medical examiner concluded that he got kicked in the nuts hard. Very fucking hard.
Oh my God.
And he suffered a blow to the chest so severe it had caused lethal damage. The doctor said with a tear of the right atrium, he would have bled out in under 30 seconds.
Jeez.
It was officially closed, and it was a homicide. So let's go back here for a second.
Okay.
I am being completely honest when I tell you that nobody was in his room at any point during any of this. Do you have another guess of what happened to Greg? Mind you, the coroner said his internal injuries were that of a car crash or someone that had been crushed.
Man.
That's tough, right?
It is, yeah. I don't have a guess.
This is winding. This is a very winding tale. The examiner called the detective about the death in room 348 to tell him this was absolutely not a natural cause of death. He told him this death was similar to a crushing death or a car crash. Beaumont, Texas does not have murders, not any murders, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Beaumont, Texas, they don't have murders.
Very rare.
And this is completely out of the scope for the profile of this area. Now, a super cop like this, like Detective Apple, his dick rock fucking hard to know that he was getting a fucking real murder case. Gonna go home and grab my wife by her short curly hair. I'm gonna fucking make her touch my wiener. But after knocking on every door and taking every statement possible, Detective Apple was stumped after 6 months into the investigation. Now you try and piece this together real quick. His initial thought process, he got his ass kicked somewhere and came back to the hotel room to die. He would have bled out, and that's the thing. He had a complete tear of the right atrium. This guy would have bled out in 30 seconds after whatever happened to him happened, okay?
Okay.
There is the off chance that he was beaten outside the door of his room.
Okay.
But that type of ungodly beating, everyone in the building would have heard it.
Yeah.
And all the witness statements, no one heard anything that day. So let's revisit his contacts that evening. And this is from most of this research came from a very well prepared and written article by Vanity Fair. You'll recall he blew the breaker in his room earlier that night.
Right.
And the maintenance records show a maintenance man responded to his room. Well, the maintenance man had a rap sheet as a sex offender. Oh, now we're starting to make some room here.
Okay.
The detectives began to investigate if this was a kinky sexual assault, and perhaps the coroner suggested that he might have had like a long screwdriver had been shoved up inside his scrotum into his intestines. That's a long fucking screwdriver.
Doesn't sound like fun.
I'm not going to let anybody do that to me.
No urethra sounds with the screwdriver.
Okay. Yes, please. You can put that in my butt. But please don't shove that up in my wiener.
Ugh.
You're going to turn that into a fudgesicle.
Oh, God.
Put it in my butt, please.
Ew, my wiener's hurting.
Yeah. So, and it goes to, those don't really go hand in hand where, the woman coming to your room and kicking you in the nuts repeatedly.
Yeah.
This is like a sexual offender came to his room to work on his equipment.
Mm-hmm.
After thoroughly interviewing the maintenance man, nothing ever progressed with him. He had a complete alibi. He's
okay.
Like, I was in there and out of there, and he burned his popcorn. I flipped a switch, and he said, "Hey, I would fuck my microwave up." and that was it. Everything had corresponded with what the maintenance guy said. There was no hanky-panky, no weird fucking screwdrivers getting shoved up anybody's dick sack. That's a fucking way to go out, though, buddy.
It really is.
But then there's a second theory. There was a number of union electricians were staying at the hotel as well, many of which were in a room right next door to Greg at the Elegante. They would gather every night in the whose ever hotel room. They would drink and get drunk and wake up and go do electrician stuff.
Sure.
There was a suspicion that they beat him outside of his room for the trip breaker.
Okay. Taking their job seriously.
That's like a fucking...
You know how hard it is to pop a fuse?
It's like a janitor's in there mopping. Think of the janitors in the bathroom mopping. You bust through the door like you're in the middle of a fucking shit tathlon. You got a big old fucking fudge dragon. Oh, man. Fucking got like a 2-inch grip on an 8-inch turd. Get the fuck out of my way. Get the fuck out of my way. Oh, I just mopped the floor. Well, I got a big old hot sloppy I got to get rid of right quick. Or Dale.
Story of my life.
And these electricians were so upset over this fucking torn breaker, this blown breaker. He said, oh, yeah, we're going to fuck him up real good. We're going to stick a screwdriver in his dick. In his fucking... But the coroner said that he had been kicked in the testicles and his chest had been crushed. And that takes me back to a time that I sat on my little brother's chest and farted really hard. I could have killed him. You know, I was a lot fatter than him. He was a little guy. But I used to do that when he would just not be paying attention. I would jump on him ass cheek first and I would fart really hard on his chest.
Oh, man.
Did not make my mom happy.
Yeah.
To this day.
I'd assume.
Nonetheless. Oh, gosh. So this is really crazy. Part of the investigation, Detective Apple wore a hidden body camera to record the conversations that he had with the electricians. The electricians didn't seem like they were hiding anything. They were friendly and very concerned for Greg and the pretenses of his suspicious death. Lance Mueller, you gotta remember the name Lance Mueller, he asked the detective, he said, whatever happened to that guy anyways? He shared a room, Lance Mueller and Tim Steinmetz shared the room next door to Greg. So that was where they were hanging out at.
Gotcha.
Apple... He replied to Lance Mueller. He said, hell, I don't know. Apple said, honestly, that's what I'm trying to find out. It was almost like something fell on him or something. We're just trying to see if somebody heard something, or maybe if somebody knows somebody heard something, or maybe if somebody messed with him. Like I said, Mueller and Steinmetz stayed in the room that was right next door to him. And it was one of those hotel setups where there's a door inside the hotel room where you can pass through. But both of those were locked. And I will say again, there's complete understanding that I'm giving this away. There was no one that went into his room that night. They said they heard him coughing when they came in from the bar that night around midnight, which wouldn't be crazy because he had the bad smoker's cough and he would chain smoke. And they said they heard him coughing that night. But the air conditioning was off. So that's a little out of character for him as well. Maybe he just didn't want to be fucking cold that night. I don't know. They all agreed there was nothing in the room to cause that much damage and that much trauma. Aside from the ceiling falling on him altogether, which there was nothing like that in the room. Other electricians interviewed said they were in the room that night and there was nothing suspicious to report. They advised they were in town for a few more days and they would be more than happy to oblige and help with the investigation any way possible. Months and months went by with no lead on what happened. He considered all options and nothing made sense. In November, the family put out a $50,000 reward for any leads towards the death of Greg Fleniken. There was nothing. Nobody came forward with any information. His brother Michael hired a PI, private investigator from Houston, who was a former FBI agent. That guy did a short interview with Detective Apple, and then nobody ever heard from him ever again at that point. So at this point, Detective Apple says we officially have a cold case. There's nothing to go off of. We have no idea what happened to this guy. There's no evidence whatsoever. Susie, which is Greg's wife, eventually called a private investigator and cold case investigator Ken Brennan. And when I tell you this motherfucker is a hotshot, dude, he is a grizzled Long Island detective.
Hell yeah.
Nasty. Just the fucking, he's the daddy long dick, okay? He's a bad dude. He's a former Long Island cop and a DEA agent. He works as a private investigator in Florida. He answered on the first ring when Susie called, and she was floored that he didn't have a secretary. He wears gold chains, bracelets, and Irish rings on his fingers.
Baller. Fucking baller.
We're gonna figure out who killed your fucking husband.
Is the type of guy that fucking Marky Mark plays in movies.
Exactly. Susie was, and this guy, there's undoubtedly, he retired early because he was dealing with the mob and made millions of fucking dollars as I don't know that. I can't say that about the guy, but yeah. I know he's probably got a 14 to 18 inch long penis. Susie was referred by a young lawyer friend and knew he would be the fresh eyes that was needed for the case. We'll call him Detective Brennan, or we'll just call him Brennan, even though he was just a private investigator. He really only took cases where he knew he could make progress. He first visited Susie in Lafayette and grilled the shit out of her. Like he was, for instance, when I say grill, he asked about the status of the marriage. He asked about recent life insurance policies. He asked about, if she thought that he'd ever cheated, if she was cheating. He took her through the rigors, man, because for him to take this case, he has to know.
Right, everything inside and out.
And that was what he hung his hat on. He's like, I only take shit that I know that I can make progress on. And he fucking put her through the ringer and wanted to know everything about their relationship, everything about Greg, everything about the money. Because as soon as she says, well, we opened a life insurance policy about 2 weeks before fucking case closed, okay? But none of that stuff was there. So he didn't have a lot to go off of, except for the fact that he could eliminate her as a suspect pretty quickly.
Right.
Then his last question that he asked her during that first meeting, he said, was there anything that seemed off about the crime scene? And she said yes, that the air conditioner wasn't on, which didn't make sense. The two detectives met. Detective Apple and the investigator Brennan, they met at a sports bar to go over the case. And really what Brennan said he met with Detective Apple for, it wasn't to talk about the case. It was for him to meet Detective Apple and see if it was someone that he could work with, because these guys were going to have to work hand in hand. He wanted to know if Detective Apple was a fucking cum stain or what the fuck he was. See if he was someone he could work with to bust this case open. The next morning, they went to the hotel room. They went over pictures, and they went over everything that Detective Apple had discovered the original day of the death. Then Brennan hit him with a bombshell. Brennan said he knew everything about the case, and it started with what hand the cigarette was in when he died. The cigarette was in his left hand, and I don't know if you recall me saying this, but when they found him face down, dead on the ground, he had a burned-out cigarette clutched between two fingers on his left hand. They even called Susie on the spot to ask his dominant hand and which hand he smoked with. She confirmed that he always smoked with his right hand. He never used his left hand while smoking, but he died with a burned-out cigarette in his left hand and his right hand cupped under his body, presumably grabbing his fucking dick and intestines.
Yeah, I would think so too.
For Brennan, the air conditioner was shut down when the breaker blew around 8:30 p.m. according to maintenance records. He wouldn't have realized it was off right away. The cigarette acts to the notion he was squashed in the hallway, especially with the ruptured atrium. So he's eliminating the thought process that he had his ass kicked in the hallway and then he came back into his room and died, because there was no way with the tear of the right atrium for him to get fucking stomped out in the hallway, come back in the hotel room, light up a cigarette, and
fall dead.
Live to make it to the door.
Yeah.
He would have bled out in the hallway and died in the hallway. In Brennan's opinion, he lit the cigarette before whatever killed him happened. So while he's sitting there watching Iron Man 2, lighting cigarettes, something happened to him that caused him great trauma inside of his body, enough to fucking kill him on the spot. And when he did this, he shifted the cigarette while trying to leave the hotel room. He put the cigarette in his left hand, and he was using his right hand to reach down to the hotel handle, the door handle, to try and get out of the hotel room. Brennan asked about the electricians, and Detective Apple confirmed that there was nothing stinky about the electricians at all. There was nothing that screamed suspicious. There was nothing weird. They talked to the medical examiner to confirm if the death could have been a beating. Like, he has shit stomped in. The examiner said yes, he could have been kicked by steel-toe boots.
Okay, makes sense.
These electricians were wearing construction boots. But no one was in his room, and he was not killed in the hallway. I will say that right now to even further the expansion of what you think you know. He was not killed. He was killed in that hotel room, and there was no one in that room with him.
Okay.
There was a lot of back and forth. Okay, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead here. Brennan, he went back to where he is based out of, Florida, I believe, and he took all of the surveillance footage from the hotel. He watched hours and hours of hotel security footage. He saw the electricians coming and going. He saw Greg coming and going. There was nothing suspicious to him at all at that time. There was a lot of back and forth with many of the people that worked alongside these guys. So what the detective and the PI were doing at this point, they didn't start going to the electricians that were there in the room, because there was a group of electricians in the room next to him. They started going to their supervisors. They started to go into guys they worked with that weren't necessarily there that night. They were asking them, like, hey, was there ever anything? Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Sometimes she just likes to, there's a cat on the table
hop up
right
here.
now. They're asking these guys, in passing, did any of these guys ever say anything weird about that night, or say anything that might make you think, like, hey, an investigator of this case should probably know about this?
There she goes.
Just throw her. Launch her. Sorry. Then a foreman, and when they interviewed all these guys, nothing popped up. Then finally a foreman came forward named Aaron Bork. He recalled something about a gun going off. But then Detective Apple corrected him and said that was a completely different incident on a completely different day altogether.
Okay. There
was a fight some point close to this time at the Elegante, days before, and there was a gun discharge.
Discharge. Yeah.
And they couldn't, that wasn't the same night as this incident. So Bork had, and this is where it really picked the interest of the investigators. Well, Brennan, because Detective Apple obviously fucking blew this thing.
Definitely.
Bork, the foreman, had no idea or no recollection of the fight that these guys spoke of. So all these electricians said, yeah, there was a fight a few days before, and there might have been a gun discharged. These guys never spoke about this fight until they started getting grilled about this investigation.
Okay.
As soon as they left that interview, Brennan knew that he had to go back to the hotel. Detective Apple wasn't as motivated as Brennan. He questioned Brennan's thought process. He said, we've already been to the hotel room. There's nothing to go back. There's nothing to look at, because they'd combed through the room in its entirety and all the evidence in the room, and nothing was found. Brennan told him they were going to look for a bullet. They searched all over the room, and there was no sign of a bullet at all. Then Brennan saw an indention in the wall next to the door that joins the two rooms together. And it appeared to be a patch job, but it didn't necessarily super jump out at them because it looked like it was where the doorknob would meet the wall had that door been swung open. So nothing really to alert them at this point. When they opened the door, the knob did not match up with the indentation on the wall. They immediately got hotel security to open the door on the other side. When they went to the other room on the other side, filled with pink toothpaste, was a nice, neat bullet hole on the other side of the wall. Now, entering the wall, this is from the electrician's room. The bullet, its path of travel, appeared like it went from the electrician's side and it exited on Greg's side of the wall. Crime scene investigators arrived and they excavated the hole and used lasers to determine the trajectory. It pointed right to where Greg would have been sitting and minding his own fucking business, sitting on the bed.
Jeez. You'll
remember the examiner said a severe beating. And he was very convinced of that, the coroner. So there was no other way that he could have died aside from a beating. And he also was very quick to point out that this was not a gunshot wound that he had suffered. And he wasn't... So now what you have is Brennan, the PI, and the detective are going to have to go to this coroner, this guy that's been cutting open bodies and determining causes of death for decades, and tell him everything that you did during that autopsy is completely wrong. The body is already in the ground at this point. So you have to start talking about exhuming the body, all that fucking jazz. They needed to get the examiner to rewrite his findings so they could prosecute someone. Now, whenever Brennan and Detective Apple went to the investigator, the first thing the investigator said, the coroner said, was, "Did you catch the guy that beat him up?" Because he was so convinced that he'd just been fucking beaten. He refused to believe he was shot, and he wouldn't change his mind. And he was completely cognizant of the fact that these guys were alluding to him being exhumed and re-examined. One problem: he was cremated. His body was no longer around to have another autopsy performed. But he did agree to go over the autopsy photos once more. Brennan, hotshot, big daddy fucking dick, hog penis, horse cock, knew all of the internal organs just by looking at the pictures. So they're going over the pictures, and the coroner saying, "This is the liver, this is the heart." In Brennan's mind, he already knows just by seeing the pictures. He knows what all these organs are because he's done this so much. He knew exactly what he was looking for. Brennan and the doctor conversed, and Brennan kept asking him, could this have happened due to a gunshot wound? And the examiner kept saying, yes, theoretically that could happen from a gunshot wound. But this man was beaten, and you can't change my mind. He was beaten. There was no bullet. Then Brennan found a track on one of the organs. I think it was a liver. The examiner said that could happen during a beating, but it was not like there was a visible track on the organ. And he said, yeah, that could happen from a bullet, but that happened from a beating. He was not changing his mind. Then they got to the heart. There was a fucking clear, concise bullet hole in the heart that the coroner had missed altogether during the autopsy. Brennan screamed to the coroner, that is a fucking bullet hole. The doctor said, yes, it is. Quote, the media is going to kill me. So at this point,
he fucked it up.
I mean, Brennan really fucked him up. He said, you got the right guy in here. And I'm going to figure this out. But this coroner, he fucking screwed the pooch on this one. The record was officially changed, but no supporting witness testimony. There's no weapon, They have a hard case at this point. They have a hard fucking case. So they called Tim Steinmetz, which, if you recall, he was one of the guys
in the room next.
That was in the room next door. Him and Mueller.
Yeah.
7 months had passed since him and Lance Mueller shared a room. Steinmetz and Mueller confirmed their stories before Steinmetz went to go meet with the detectives that day. What story were they confirming is my question at this point. Steinmetz gave the same story he had so many times before with no issues. And Steinmetz was, God, he didn't really know for sure what the hell was going on during the interview. He knew that it was very strange that he was being called back for another interview 7 months after the fact. And he didn't, but he stuck to the same story that they had given so many times before. He said, we don't know what happened. We heard no commotion. There was no banging, no nothing. So this death is all kind of, it's weird. It's strange. After the interview was over, Steinmetz said, so that's it? Like, he was confused because he just told them the same shit that he'd told them 1,000 times before. And he said, that's it. And both the detectives said, yeah, that's it. Thanks for giving your story again. They had a deputy come in and sign the sworn statement. And as soon as the deputy signed the sworn statement and he walked out, Brennan flipped the fucking switch and said, now you have a problem. That's a sworn statement and you're a fucking liar. Oh, yeah.
Got him.
Got him. Detective said he was going to jail with Mueller, and that's what they said right away. They said, you're both going to fucking jail. Then Steinmetz, after they said, you're going to jail, Steinmetz started to sing like a canary. He was fucking telling everything that happened. And this is straight from Vanity Fair. It said, out came the whole story, corroborated later that same day, June 1st, 2011, close to a year after the death, in an interview with Trent Pisano, who had been in 349 with them. So that day, after they talked to Steinmetz, they confirmed his story with another electrician who was in the room that night, Trent Pisano. Between the two accounts, the following scenario emerged. They had been drinking beer. Mueller asked Pisano, which Mueller hadn't been, he had not been interviewed this day yet, asked Pisano to fetch a bottle of whiskey from his car and to also bring up his pistol, a 9mm Ruger. When Pisano returned, Mueller took out the handgun and, to the other's alarm, started playing with it. He pointed at Steinmetz, who dropped to the floor and cursed at him, and he was pointing it in Pisano's direction at the foot of the bed when it went off. Pisano thought for a second that he had been hit, but then turned to see a hole in the wall behind him. Mueller freaked out. He pulled the fucking trigger. They both said that Mueller bundled up the gun and took it back out to his car. When he returned, Pisano had left for his own room, disgusted. Mueller and Steinmetz went downstairs to the bar. So they said they didn't know for sure that anyone was over in Greg's room. So that's kind of, they didn't think to check on anyone over there because they didn't know if anyone was over there. But Steinmetz did say that it felt good to get it off his chest. And the fucking part that turns my stomach about this entire story, the next morning, the morning after that the gun was fired, they saw a body on a gurney on the elevator being taken out of the hotel room. They thought that there was fucking catering underneath of the blanket, not a dead body. But they weren't concerned enough to say, like, hey, we had an accidental discharge yesterday or last night. Is there any problem? Is there any possibility that this stray bullet, you might have hit somebody? You know, they would have come forward, it would have been bad, but they hid it for almost an entire year. They lied about it and they gave sworn statements, you know, so they're kind of fucked at this point. And and what is said about the cough, because, you know, they were stuck on the fact that they're like, no, we didn't kill him. We heard him coughing when we came back from the bar. What the detectives put in their final investigation, that the cough they heard was due to a drunken stupor and not knowing what fucking night they heard the cough. So they're probably, if they were standing next to Greg all week long, probably hearing him cough all the time.
Right.
They're so goddamn drunk all the time that they don't know what time they heard what cough.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not much. The cough theory doesn't hold much weight, in my opinion, or the opinion of the investigators. They wanted him to do one more thing that day. They wanted him to call Lance Mueller, the gentleman that fired the gun, on a recorded line and get the confession. And this is how the conversation went. He said, "Hey, Lance, what's up?" said Steinmetz. "Not much," said Mueller, "just sitting around." And then he said, "Well, I just got back from down there. How did it go?" And he says from down, they had already talked earlier in the day, and they knew that they were getting called back down there for investigations. Steinmetz said, "Well, I told him the whole story, what had happened, that we were sticking to there, What's that? The story that we're sticking to, that we got home late that night, and the guy coughed and whatever." "Right," said Mueller. Steinmetz said, And I was going to leave there then, because your lawyer said it would be okay, right? So that by this point, Mueller has an attorney that nobody knows about. He had acquired an attorney. And then Mueller said, "Right." And then Steinmetz says, "And when I left there, they said, okay, tell us the truth." So I told them the truth, what really happened about the gun going off and all that. Well, Mueller then asked, he said, "You told them about the gun going off and all that?" "Yep," said Steinmetz. Mueller said, "What did they say?" Mueller said, "Well, that I would be in trouble, if I didn't tell them," and there was more silence. "So what did they say?" "Not much. I don't know if they're going to get a hold of you or Trent or what the hell they're going to do." Mueller sighed. "What did they mean by that? I mean, tell us the truth. Did they say anything about the gun prior to that or what?" "No, they just said they knew exactly what happened, told me to stop fucking lying." They were pretty pissed. "And then I told them exactly how everything went down and what really and truly happened." Steinmetz suggested that Mueller call Detective Apple right away. "They probably are going to come and get your ass now that they know the truth and everything. You should probably try to make some kind of effort, The guy, he died from the gunshot." "Are you shitting me, Tim?" "No, I'm not." "Oh my God, are you kidding me? Are you serious right now?" "I'm as serious as a heart attack, Lance." Mueller kept going over and over about how it couldn't have happened. The media said it was a heart attack. The media said it was a beating. The media never said that it was a bullet wound. So in his mind, he was convinced that he was off scot-free.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't come to grips with the fact that, okay, that bullet indeed killed the guy in the room next to them. Later that night, Mueller, the guy that fired the gun, calls the investigator Brennan drunk and tried to give him a statement. And all Brennan said was, "You're drunk. I suggest you call your fucking attorney." Yeah, and he hung up on him. That was it. You are fucking nailed to the wall at that point. You are just dried cum on a sock. There's no... Brennan heard during the investigation, so they obviously charged him, and all of the proceedings were quite easy and clear at that point. Mm-hmm. But then Brennan heard, he was like, kind of took a step away. I found the guy. I found out what happened. So he takes a step back, and then he hears through the grapevine that they were doing a plea bargain because in Texas, those goddamn hillbillies discharge firearms all the time, and it's very common to just accidentally shoot a gun off. So he was going to get a plea deal on this accidental discharge because it's Texas, and there's only two things from Texas: steers and queers. And I don't see no horns. That's from a movie.
Yep.
The gun. So the problem was, as far as the investigation, as far as getting him convicted for the full extent of the law, they needed the gun, but the gun was locked up in Mueller's attorney's office, and it was evidence that they needed the gun. Brennan said, "I suggest you go down there with a search warrant and a fucking blowtorch and go get the fucking weapon. It's evidence of a capital crime. What the fuck are you talking about?" And Brennan was very worked up over this plea bargain talk. "The victim was important to everybody here," he said, gesturing around the table, "and we're not going to let this thing be brushed under the rug. Let somebody take a plea on this. This is not a fucking accident. An accident is when somebody comes in, has taken off their gun discharges, and God forbid, somebody is hit. That's one thing. It's completely different when somebody fucking brings a gun that they shouldn't have into another fucking state, shit-faced drunk, fucking around with a gun. The people with him realize that something bad could happen. He discharges a round, almost kills the guy he's with, and then he does kill somebody on the other side of the wall. He knows that something that could happen. It's an occupied hotel. He doesn't even bother to knock on the door next door to see if anybody's hurt. And after that, his answer to the whole thing is to go get drunk somewhere in the fucking bar of the hotel. And then when he sees a body being taken out the next day and he's 100% certain he killed somebody, he decided not to say anything about it, but run to his attorney and leave the fucking weapon in a safe. And the fucking attorney doesn't say anything about it either. You know what that is? That's fucking murder. So if you think we're going to forget about this fucking thing, think again, because that ain't fucking happening. All the words Investigator Brennan right there. God.
What a badass.
What a hot shot, dude. The judge gave Mueller 10 years, which was half of what the law allowed. And at any point, if he would have just came forward right when it happened, all of this would have been, just tell the truth.
Right.
The truth shall set you free. In this instance, it did not. And then the witness impact statement from Susie Fleniken. She finally had the opportunity to address the killer, Mueller, face to face. She said, "I have waited over 2 years to look you in the face, eye to eye, and simply have the chance to speak directly to you. You would never have come forward with the truth. You murdered him. No, you didn't intentionally seek him out to murder him, but you murdered him with every lie you told, with every intentional selfish deception, with every cover-up over and over again. You saw his body taken out of the room in a body bag the next day. You knew you killed him. He meant nothing to you. You have met your match. I would have spent the rest of my life tracking you down, and I found you. Greg's murderer, I brought you to justice." What a
nice.
Glad she got to come face to face with this dickwad. I think he's probably due to get, this is 2010, so he's probably due to get out of prison now or the next year. But
yeah,
just what a fucking weird.
It is really weird
case. You know, it's so simple, but when you're laying it out, it's just so you're like, I have no idea where this is going to go. I have no idea what's going to happen. And you thought you had it figured out.
Yeah. I thought someone poisoned his Crunch Bar.
That's a really good guess.
I don't know what the fuck would have happened to his internal organs, but I mean, still.
I got a blown out sack. Got my motherfucking...
Actually, maybe he was into squashing or something. That's
dick and balls blown off.
Maybe like the big hefty woman coming and like treating his chest like a trampoline.
That'd be so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing.
It is a thing, dude. We played the audio for you.
That's fun.
You guys can fucking hear it. I wish that it wasn't 8:45, because I'd give Brendan a little cold call.
Yeah.
I think his phone number is out there, but I would be afraid to upset this guy, honestly.
Oh, hell yeah.
You think you're fucking calling me in the middle of the fucking night? I just got done playing golf. It's all fucking COVID lockdown. I'm pissed off. I ain't fucked nothing in fucking weeks. We'd probably he would hate our guts.
Oh, yeah.
He would want nothing to do with us. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Hope you played along with us. Maybe you solved it long before Rob did. Long before Rob determined with his spidey senses that he was murdered via Crunch Bar.
It was my first thought because he always had them.
I had I tried a Butterfinger and it said new recipe.
Oh, dude, those are so fucking awful.
I've never been inspired to pick up a piece of food and say, where's the fucking number on the back that says, tell us how we're doing. I called them to tell them that these goddamn candy bars taste like Alpo dog shit.
Didn't they, wasn't it, it's not Nestle anymore, is that what it is?
I don't know what it is, but it tastes like it had been shoved up. That guy earlier in the episode that said, I want my dick sucked. It tastes like it had been shoved up that old man's ass. I want my dick sucked. That's kind of what it tastes like to me. It's fucking disgusting. There's got to be people out there that like it though, because they're still making it.
I guess. I mean, the only time I ever see them is if they're in like the fucking fun bags of candy. Even my kids who will eat anything won't even eat them things.
They're bad, dude.
They used to be so good.
Butterfingers, and the
Bart
best
Simpson, man.
Yeah, nobody lays a finger on my Butterfinger. The best part about a Butterfinger is that it's shaped like a dick, and it feels good to put it inside. It gets stuck in your teeth, and you can eat it for hours.
God, yes.
It's good for hours after you initially put it in your mouth.
Same thing with Dots.
It's Dots.
Dude, I love Dots.
Are the things? Oh, the chewy things.
The chewy ones, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's
not a candy bar, but I mean, it's
a
fucking
fruit,
gummy.
It's a fruit snack.
Yeah.
I love fruity. I like Airheads.
Oh yeah, Airheads
sour
are good.
Skittles. My most favorite fruity candy is the fruit punch ropes. They're like,
oh yeah.
What are the No, they're not Laffy Taffy. Like they're not Nerd Ropes.
Nerd Ropes are banging too, though.
Those are good. I don't know what the red fruit punch ropes are called.
Like the sour ones?
I think they're called
the sour punch straws or whatever the fuck.
Sweet tart ropes.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Those are so good.
Oh, dude,
those are fucking banging.
Oh my god, those are delicious.
My oldest son always gets those, and I'm always like, let me get one of those.
Let me get about 5 or 6 of those.
Let me get some of them,
baby girl.
Oh man,
well,
good time, good story.
Yeah, cool story, bro. Thanks for tuning in this week, guys. I hope you guys are staying safe.
Yeah, thank you guys
on the COVID trail.
Yeah,
Rob's got a really important message for you right now.
Yeah, guess what, guys? I love you.